Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Thomas Van Kampen once again, here with another episode of Let's Animate, and boy, has it been a long time. I'm not even sure if it's been that long. I may have been gone on hiatuses for longer. But that said, considering the hiatus and the other hiatuses I went on, I've come to a decision. So, originally, I created this Let's Animate series as a means to fill the gaps between the time that it takes for me to make animations. I thought it would be a neat thing for me to do to keep my channel frequently updated, to keep it entertaining, and to make up for the fact that animation does, in fact, take quite a long time. That said, I haven't been able to keep up with it nearly as much as I would like to. And the other part of that is that sometimes I just don't feel like I have anything interesting to say. Like, I usually make these when I feel like I have some things to say, some things to catch up on, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, and that's usually what I focus on when I just get what I'm doing out of the way. So anyway, enough beating around the bush. The decision I came up to is I'm just going to make and release these things whenever I actually have something to say, which isn't going to be all the time. Well, obviously not all the time because, that just evidence speaks for itself. But basically what I'm getting at is don't expect a frequent upbringing of these from now on. I'm just going to post them whenever something's on my mind and whenever I want to get it out there because I think it's interesting. And hopefully that'll be all good and fair enough. It'll just be like an outlet thing from now on. And hopefully, with that said, it'll still be a bit of a frequent thing where I can still keep whatever audience I have entertained for the time being. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm getting at. So anyway, when I left off, I was working on, I believe, the shading on the woman and stuff like that, and I think I began drawing this guy again. It's been a long time. But anyway, in this video that you see here, I'm basically just shading this guy, as you can see. But the truth is, I'm actually finished this portion now, and you can actually see the finished product on my YouTube channel right now as we speak. And I'll put a link in the description, and I'll also put it somewhere on the screen, like always. So yeah, that's pretty well it. That's pretty well all I've been doing. It feels good to finally be done this one because, yeah, this one in particular has taken a while just to coordinate all the little details and to put together the background and stuff. This one was especially fun to make, and it makes a great addition to my demo reel, which is almost done. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, and I'll just tell you what I've been up to since I went on my hiatus. I've been a part of a podcast done by Tyler Marchant. He does a podcast called Cynical Cartoons, where he basically just talks to other cartoon enthusiasts about what's happening right now in the animation world and in the film world and stuff like that. And then we go ahead and review an episode of a cartoon that we both watched. And we give our own thoughts on it and stuff like that, and we go review it through chronological order. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. He had me guest star on the latest episode, and the thing that we reviewed was an episode of Avengers Assemble called Hulked Out Heroes. And the premise of that cartoon is that basically there's a Hulk virus that goes around, and it intoxicates the other members of the Avengers so that they start to become Hulkified versions of themselves. So yeah, which sounds like quite a ridiculous premise, and that's why, well, I didn't realize that was there. Yeah, I like to keep in contact with other YouTubers, but whatever. This is part of the reason why I like the kind of casual nature of this sort of thing. Because, you really get to see the nitty gritty of what it's like to be an animator, where you're constantly distracted by your friends and your clients and whatnot. Anyway, so I was talking about the podcast. So we reviewed that episode of Avengers Assemble, based on the premise and how ridiculous it sounded. You can check out more details. I'll put a link in the description. Um, yeah, it was pretty entertaining. Tyler Marchant's a great guy. He also does things called Cynical Gamers, which is basically his Let's Play series he does with somebody else. I don't quite remember. And he also has a YouTube channel called Future Horse Productions, in which he's posted a handful of his podcasts on there. He most commonly reviews episodes of Rick and Morty and stuff like that. Main reason why we decided to tackle an episode of Avengers Assemble was because of the upcoming Civil War film, Captain America 3 Civil War, which I hardly need to tell you anything about that because the advertising is everywhere. Everyone's super pumped for that. And I'm not going to lie, I think it'll probably be the first Marvel movie that I've seen in a long time. And I'm seriously considering just jumping right into that, and there's a reason for that. I've mentioned multiple times how far behind I am on the Marvel movies. So I haven't seen Thor 2, I haven't seen Captain America 2, I haven't seen Ant-Man, and, I wouldn't be surprised if there are other movies that I was missing out on. But point being, last Marvel movie that's part of the cinematic universe that I've watched last is Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's really it. But yeah, regardless of that, I'm thinking of just jumping right into this because, honestly, I know enough about these characters to understand what's going on. I don't think I really need to do my homework that badly in order to enjoy this film, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be a fun superhero flick where I get a basic understanding of what's going on, and that's all that really matters. And I think that's a good mindset to go in because, I don't fall far behind on the bandwagon. And, that'll probably get me back into the mood to see Doctor Strange, even though that looks interesting enough already. But yeah, I think I'm just going to jump right into that because honestly, I love the fact that there's a Marvel Cinematic Universe now, and I like the idea of having these continuation movies and like having this whole tied-in universe together. But there are a few problems with this concept, as cool as it is. One of the problems being is that it makes you feel like you have to do your homework in order to see this big movie that everybody else is going to see before you. And, I always think that the best movies are always the self-contained ones. The ones that, you can put in any time for any reason that you like, and it'll be a good time. That's why Guardians of the Galaxy, even though I'm kind of biased because I missed out on so many movies, that's why Guardians of the Galaxy is the best Marvel movie in my opinion, because it is very self-contained. It doesn't rely on the other movies in order to be interesting. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's building up to something grander, even though it does that a little bit. It's not really necessary to enjoy the film, and the thing about the Avengers is that all these characters, more or less, needed a pre-establishing movie in order to get a good sense of who they were. Whereas the cool thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is that these are all fresh, bizarre characters who you love just as much, if not more. And in spite of the fact that they all have to be established in the exact same movie, that takes real talent to do, and it takes real talent to get an audience to buy a tree and a talking raccoon. That takes serious talent to make that work. So yeah, I was part of that podcast, stuff like that. I also have a girlfriend now. Yay, I have a girlfriend. Woo! Which is quite exciting. I'm super stoked for that. She's such a sweetheart. I love being around her. I love talking to her about any random crap. I love the fact that she tolerates my terrible jokes. I love the fact that she tolerates the fact that I'll go on and on about movies she's never seen. And she's just a great time and such a pleasure to be around. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Might cut into my time to, make this kind of stuff, but I thought maybe that was something worth addressing. Um, I also went to the Calgary Entertainment Expo recently. So, for those of you unaware, I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm in the lower region of Alberta. Um, and we recently had our equivalent to Comic Con, which was quite fun. I went dressed as Shaggy from Scooby Doo. I might, if I feel like it, I might just skip out some footage and just put in some of the pictures I took instead of me, as well as some of my favorite costumes that I saw there. And that was a great time. And I also got to meet Steve Bloom, which is one of my heroes. For those of you unaware, Steve Bloom is a very well-known voice actor who's known for several amazing roles, including Spike Spiegel in Cowboy Bebop, which is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. He was also Amon in Legend of Korra, which he was a total badass in that. He was like one of the coolest villains there, aesthetically and conceptually. And he was also Wolverine in pretty well every damn cartoon you ever heard of from the X-Men. He's Wolverine in the X-Men. He's Wolverine in friggin' Hulk versus Wolverine. He's the character. I'm not gonna say Wolverine over and over. He's Wolverine in Superhero Squad. You get the idea. He's like the quintessential Wolverine in the same way that Mark Hamill is the quintessential Joker or Kevin Conroy is the quintessential Batman. Like you just hear his voice and you immediately think Wolverine. But yeah. And I love Cowboy Bebop to death. It's a show that blows my mind every time I see it. It's so cool. It's so slick. It's so hip. All the episodes are hilarious and self-contained. They're like their own mini movies. And it's oddly enough a show where you actually like the hijinks more than the actual plot that's only contained in like 5 episodes. So yeah, it's really entertaining for that reason. I love the music. I love the characters. It's just everything about it is like perfect. So good. And like it's just one of those rare gems where you only come across it once in a blue moon. Yeah. So, I think that's all I'm going to cover for this episode. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me in spite of my hiatuses and in spite of my life interferences. Like I said before, I'll just post these whenever I feel like it, whenever I feel like I have something to say. And I'll see you all in the next video whenever that comes. Okay, see you later.